नमः शिवायेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवप्रसीदेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवात्परन्नेति शिवं प्रपद्ये शिवोऽहमस्मीति शिवं प्रपद्ये. We are seeing the third shloka of Shivananda Lahari, and in the previous satsanga we heard the glory of the Shivanama. Acharya refers to Parameshwara as Trayi Vedyam, he who is known through the three Vedas. And one of the easiest ways to get to know this Bhagavan is through the chanting of his name. Because let's say you want to find someone, there is a whole group of people, but you have to find this one particular person, you don't know anything apart from his name. How will you ascertain this person from in between this crowd? What will you do? You will keep on calling out his name until this person finally turns and sees who is calling him. So like that, even Bhagavan, we have so many confusions, so many ideas on who is Bhagavan, what is moksha, all of this. And what should we do? We shouldn't break our heads too much. Just keep calling out to Bhagavan. Just constantly keep calling out to Bhagavan. If you do it within your heart, you call it Nama Japa, you call him loudly, you call it Nama Sankirtana. So in either way, you constantly keep calling out to him, and one day he will reveal himself within your own heart. He will shine within your own heart as that Chaitanya. Then Acharya continues and says, Tripura Madhyam Trinayanam. Tripura, he who is the destroyer of the three cities. This is a reference to the famous Puranic story about the sons of Tarakasura. So there was an Asura by the name Taraka, and his story itself is quite huge. But the story ends at a point where Skanda, Subramanya Swami, the son of Parameshwara, ultimately does Tarakasura Samhara. Then his three sons, the three sons of Tarakasura, Tarakaksha, Vidyunmali, and Kamalaksha, they do extreme tapas. Okay, and in tapas, whenever someone does extreme tapas, generally we refer to that as asura tapas. It is not at all healthy. If you read the Purana and see how these asuras did tapas and you try to imitate it, you will be in deep trouble, because it is just the kind of austerities where you torture the body literally. Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, all asuras do tapas like this only, because their rajoguna is so powerful. But this is not the kind of tapas we are supposed to do. We are supposed to do very sattvic tapas. But they do ghora tapas, very, very torturous tapas, and they are praying to Brahma. Finally, Brahma appears in front of them and asks them what they want. So, first thing, like all asuras, they ask for immortality. And Brahma says that is not possible. Except Parameshwara, who is Kalantaka, the destroyer of time, and Mahavishnu, nobody else is immortal. And this is where we can see the beauty of Puranas and how they are, in essence, very Advaitic. In Bhagavatam, you will see there are certain portions where Shiva Mahima is quoted. In one place, Kashyapa Maharshi says, who will not understand Shiva Tattva? Shwabhojanam Swatmatayopalalitam. Only a person who has taken this body, and this body which is equivalent to dog food. If you don't cremate the body on time, what will happen? Dogs and vultures will come and eat it. This body which is full of flesh and bones and amounts to nothing but dog food, if someone thinks of himself and as this body, and he wastes his entire life pampering it, only such a person, such an immature person, will not understand Shiva Tattva. Where does this shloka come? It comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, what does Shiva Puranam say? Except Parameshwara, who is Kalantaka, and Mahavishnu, nobody else is immortal. So, for no reason, why does Bhagavatam speak about Shiva, and out of context, why does Shiva Puranam mention Vishnu? It is so that we shouldn't get into this immature fight of is Shiva great or Vishnu great. We have to understand all of them are ultimately that same Parabrahma Chaitanya. So, Brahma says, except Parameshwara and Vishnu, nobody else is immortal. Ask me for a different one. So, what they do, they try to come up with a very intelligent plan through which they can ensure that they don't die. They say, we want three cities, one city made of gold, one city made of silver, and one city made of iron. And these three cities will be traveling around the universe. And once, for a single moment in 1,000 years, at midday, when Abhijit Muhurta is going on, when Pushya Nakshatra is there, when all these conditions are met, these three cities will come together. And at that time, at that moment, if someone is able to destroy us with one arrow, then we will meet our end. Otherwise, again, for another 1,000 years, we will not meet. And very beautifully, the Puranam says, Brahma, he says Tathastu, that is, he gives them the boon, but in his mind, he is thinking of Parameshwara. He remembers Parameshwara as he is giving this boon because he knows Bhagavan, as he has done in the past with Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha or with Ravana. When I say Bhagavan, I mean the same tattva, whether you call it Vishnu or Parameshwara. Whatever boon they ask for, this Parameshwara will circumvent all of that and find a way to make sure that their samhara happens because they are not good for the well-being of this universe. But they don't know this. They take the boon and they start harassing the devas as usual. And whenever in any Purana, this story comes that the asuras have taken over the devas, essentially it has a much deeper philosophical meaning, which is every indriya in our body, whether they are the sense organs or the motor organs, karmendriyas or jnanendriyas, they have adhishtana devatas associated. Like for the function of taste, for the tongue, it is Varuna. For the function of speech, it is Agni. So, like that, each function in our body, whether it's a perception or whether it's an action, all these functions have Adhishtana Devatas. Even within the mind, there is Manas, Buddhi, Hankara, Chitta. For each of these, for Manas, it's the moon, for the Buddhi, it's Brahma. Like this, there are different Adhishtana Devatas. So essentially, when we say the Asuras have taken over, it means this Devasura Yuddha is just a representation of what is happening within us. The Devas have a particular role to play. It is the role of the eye to perceive form. It is the role of the ear to perceive sound. It is the role of the tongue to perceive taste. But when the Asura takes over, what happens? This eye, which has a simple job of perceiving form, it starts giving instructions. It starts saying, no, I want to see this movie, I want to see that movie. The ear, which is simply supposed to perceive sound, starts giving instructions. It says, no, I want to listen to this music, I want to listen to death metal or pop music or something like that. The tongue, instead of just checking the taste and making sure that whatever we put into our mouth is edible, that is the essential role of the tongue. Because by mistake, we shouldn't eat a watch or a mobile phone or something like that. The tongue tastes and kind of ensures that whatever we're putting into our mouth is an edible substance. But instead of that, now the tongue has its own demands. It says, no, I want this particular food, I want that particular food. All of these are cravings. So what these asuras do from within you, instead of doing what the Indriya is supposed to do, the devas, they will correctly do what the Indriya is supposed to do. These asuras will take over and start wreaking all kinds of havoc. And what do these three cities represent? We spoke about three cities. The three cities are the three states of Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. So every story in the Puranas will have much more philosophical meaning, much deeper meaning to it. It is just not, a fiction or a bedtime, nighttime story. We just need to know how to look at it. So coming back to the story, they start harassing all the devas, and now the devas go and pray to Parameshwara. And Parameshwara says, okay, fine, I will come and destroy the three cities because for 1,000 years this harassment has been going on, because only once in 1,000 years they can come together, and Parameshwara cannot go against the boon that Brahma has given, so he has to honor that. He has to work within those constraints. So he says, okay, that Abhijit Muhurta is also coming, so let us all leave. And here, the way he leaves and how the entire cosmos comes together to assist Parameshwara in his task is very beautifully captured in Shiva Purana, and Acharya has composed a stuti called Dashashloki Stuti. This is not the Dashashloki that we look at from a Vedantic perspective, this is a Dashashloki Stuti which is about Shiva. So in that, Acharya describes this scene. He says, Kshoniyasya rathaha rathanga yugalam chandrarkabimbadvayam kodandah kanakachalo harirabudbano vidhisaratihi तूणीरो जलधिर्हया श्रुतिचयो मौर्वीभुजङ्गाधिपः तस्मिन् मे हृदयं सुखेन रमतां साम्बे परब्रह्मणि. Now to go for this Tripura Samhara, Parameshwara needs a chariot. Kshoniyasya rathaha. The earth itself became his chariot. And as we are discussing all of this, if you have a pure Bhavana Mandalam, you can literally imagine the entire cosmos coming together to assist Parameshwara in his task. Kshoniyasya rathaha. The earth itself becomes his chariot. The chariot requires wheels. What are those wheels? Chandrarka bimbadvayam. The sun and the moon become the wheels of the chariot. Kodandah kanakachalaha. He needs a bow. He needs a very strong bow made of some very solid material. So the Mount Meru, Kanakachala itself becomes his bow. Harirabodh banaha. He needs an arrow. So Vishnu, Sakshat Hari, becomes his arrow. Vidhis saratihi. He needs a charioteer. And the charioteer of this amazing chariot is Brahma. Then to keep all of his arrows, he needs a quiver. What is the quiver? Tuniro Jaladihi. It is the ocean. Now we saw that Hari is the Bana and the ocean is the quiver, which means this can also represent the Kshira Sagara. That Kshira Sagara in which Narayana is sleeping, Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham. He is sleeping there, he gets up and comes as an arrow. So that Kshira Sagara comes to Parameshwara's back as a quiver. Now you need a horse to pull the chariot. Hayashruti Chayaha. The Shruti, the four Vedas come as four horses because the charioteer is Brahma. Brahma is the person who has the Vedas always with him. So in the hands of the charioteer, the horses are there. Brahma is having the four horses, the four Vedas as the horses. Maurvi Bhujangadipaha. You need a bowstring as well. The bow is Kodanda and the bowstring is Maurvi. These are the names for bow and bowstring. Meru Parvata is the bow. So now Bhujangadipa, the king of serpents, Vasuki, he becomes the bowstring. And Acharya says, Tasmin me hridayam sukhena ramatam sambe parabrahmani. May my heart always delight in that supreme Parabrahma who is Samba Parameshwara. Which Samba Parameshwara? He whose chariot is the earth itself, whose chariot wheels are the sun and the moon, whose bow is Mount Meru, whose arrow is Hari, Vishnu himself, whose charioteer was Brahma, the horses of the chariot were the Vedas, his quiver was the ocean, the bowstring was the serpent king. Like this, he went to do Tripura Samhara. May that Parameshwara always reside in my heart. So Parameshwara goes like this. When the three cities come together, he waits for the perfect moment and he releases the arrow that goes ahead and destroys the three cities. And we saw that the three cities, from a deeper philosophical sense, it represents the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. So the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti coming together means we are aware of that consciousness which is common in these three. In the Jagrat Avastha, or when we are awake, there is a body that is available to us and there is a waking world that is available to us. In the state of dream, this body that is available to us in the waking state is not available there. There is this world that is available to us in the waking state is not available there. There is another world and there is another dream body. And in the state of Sushupti or deep sleep, neither this body is there, nor the dream body is there, neither the Jagrat Prapancha is there, neither the Swapna Prapancha is there. It is just one undifferentiated mass of consciousness. We refer to that as Prajnana Ghana. But throughout all of that, this feeling that I am is constant. We say, I am awake, I am experiencing everything in the world, I had a dream, I experienced these things in the world. During sleep, at the time, we are not able to express this, but we wake up the next day and say, I slept happily. So, this turiya, this feeling that I am, it is the same I who is awake, it is the same I who is dreaming, and the same I who went to sleep and then woke up and said, I slept happily. Pragaswapsamiti prabodhasamaye yaf pratyabhijnayate. That Chaitanya, that awareness through which we are able to wake up and say, even though the mind was not there, the body was not there, the ego, the intellect were not there in deep sleep, there is some consciousness that was shining there, because of which we wake up and said, I experienced happiness in deep sleep. I slept happily. So essentially, what is Parameshwara doing? He is coming at the right time, as at the most opportune moment. He comes in the form of a guru. We say Jnanam Icchet Maheshwarat. If you want Jnanam, it is that Maheshwara that you have to approach. So he comes at the opportune moment. He reveals to us that this Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, all these three are just appearances, and the reality, the awareness in which all of these states appear and disappear, that Chaitanya, that consciousness is your real nature. And that is not different from Shiva. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham.